Hello teachers! Buon pomeriggio a tutti gli insegnanti al di là dello schermo. Mi presento, io sono Elisa Casci e sono responsabile dell'ufficio formazione Celtic del gruppo Raffaello. Oggi siamo davvero felici ed emozionati qui alla Celtic perché è un giorno davvero importante. Inauguriamo il nostro nuovo ciclo di webinar dedicati alla didattica della lingua inglese con teacher trainer d'eccellenza. Sono certa che nei nostri webinar troverete spunti pratici da utilizzare fin da domani in aula. Vi invito, per chi ancora non l'avesse fatto, ad iscrivervi alla nostra newsletter Celtic nella pagina Raffaello Formazione e di cliccare mi piace sulla pagina Facebook Celtic, così potete rimanere sempre aggiornati sui nostri eventi e anche trovare del materiale interessante da usare in classe. Ok, so let's start. E con il primo intervento cercheremo appunto di dare dei consigli, dei tips, degli spunti per diciamo ripensare e rivedere le attività didattiche alla luce delle nuove regolamentazioni. Prima di dare la parola ad Ellen, la nostra teacher trainer, vi anticipo che il prossimo webinar sarà mercoledì prossimo, mercoledì 21 ottobre, intitolato Let's Celebrate Autumn alle ore 16:30. L'attestato di questo webinar, quindi l'attestato di partecipazione, vi verrà inviato contestualmente al questionario di gradimento e al materiale didattico condiviso durante il webinar. That's it, so enjoy the webinar. Bye bye.
Hello, good afternoon to all the teachers. So I'm Helen Cerina. I'm a teacher of English as a second language and a choreographer. I mainly worked in private schools, but I also worked as a lettrice d'inglese in state schools, and of course, from kindergarten to high school and elementary schools as well. I know what's the situations there. You got many kids. It's not very easy to use lots of the mingling group activities, but let's see how we can manage those in this period. So let's get started. I'll open my presentation. There it is. Oh yeah, just a moment. All right, can you see it? Yeah, all right. So, what are the types of activities we do in an ESL lesson? So, English as a second language. Let's see. What do you do in your classroom? What are some of the activities you do in your classroom? Can you type in the chat? Okay, so these are some of the activities that I use in my lessons. TPR, total physical response. Crafts, drama, storytelling, lots of collaborative work, songs, and CLIO. So let's have a look at some of these activities. First of all, TPR, total physical response. They're based on commands. Usually the teacher says or asks a student to do something. So they're based on listening and doing. There's no speaking so much on behalf of the students. Some typical TPRs activities are games and songs like Simon Says. So Simon says, put your hands up. Simon says, touch your head. Simon says, clap your hands. Or the jellyfish song. You can find this on YouTube. The jellyfish song is based on repetition. So the teacher says, put your arms up. And all the children put their arms up and they say, put your arms up. And then the teacher says, the jellyfish, etc. And then there's a repetition. Again, the teacher says, put your arms up, put your wrists together. And all the children put their arms up, the wrists together, and they move like jellyfish. Jellyfish, but jellyfish, but jellyfish. Then again, elbows together, knees together, toes together, and it becomes crazy, and some of them lose their balance, but it's lots of fun. I've been doing this as well with children who are 5, they love it, and then up to 12 years old, although they might be a bit more shy that age, but anyway. And then hokey pokey. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out, you put your right hand in, and you shake it all about, etc., etc., etc. So these are all TPR activities. Let's move on. So you instruct a student to do something. For example, you can instruct a student to ask the meaning of a word to another student. That's still TPR. So you can, let's say, ask to Luca to ask something, to ask the meaning of dog to Maria. And Luca will say, Maria, what's the meaning of dog? So this is TPR. I've got an activity, but I will show you later. It's called the mystery box. And then we got the step-by-step instructions. Typically, step-by-step instructions are crafts, like making origamis or making anything, but you can explain. It would be better not to show it, so we can just follow your voice and your instructions. But at the beginning, when they have to learn vocabulary, then you can instruct and show. And once they learned the vocabulary, then they'll be fine just by listening at your instructions. Another activity is to act out a story. Let's say that you've told them the story of Little Red Riding Hood, Cappuccetto Rosso, and then you assign roles to your children. So Luca is the grandma, and Maria is Little Red Riding Hood. And so you start telling the story. Little Red Riding Hood went to see her grandma, and she knocked on the door. So Maria walks towards Luca, and she knocks on Luca's desk. So this is again a way of using TPR. You can describe something and the children can draw it, or they can color a picture according to the colors, the color code that you give them. So you can ask them to draw a house next to a big lake, and so they draw a big lake, and then they have to draw a cat on the roof, and then at the end you check that the drawing is correct. So TPR from the desk. And we know now students cannot move so much around the classroom. So a desk, what can a desk be? A desk can be a house, a boat, a field. Let's see how. A desk can be a stage, and students can use objects or can make puppets and move them on their desk. Desk as scenography. The students use their own bodies, so they move by the desks. There's an activity called Make a Book, which I'll show you later. And again, the other activity is the mystery box. Let's have a look at how to make puppets. You can make puppets very easily. For example, I'd like to introduce you Mrs. Scissors and and Mr. Felt Pen. This is very easy. The children draw eyes. I draw a moustache. They can draw hats or clothes, and they stick them on their stationery. So you don't need a lot of material, just a pair of eyes, and you made already some characters. And then on their stage, which is the desk, they have to do things. For example, let's say that Mrs. Scissors goes and visits Mr. Moustache, and she knocks on the door. Knock, knock, knock. And Mr. Moustache answers, "Who's there?" And Mrs. Scissors says, "It's Mrs. Scissors. I've come to get the dogs." "Oh, yeah, because I didn't tell you, Mrs. Scissors' job is dog sitter." So you can invent a lot of stories, give them a whole background. Or let's have a look at this way of making a puppet. You can use plasticine. I'm gonna share with you this video. Just a moment. All right. Let's have a look.
Bottom of your oval of clay by pinching out a leg and another leg, like so. As you're pinching, keep in mind, you want your creation to be able to stand, maybe even walk in your animation. So you want to keep those legs fairly thick. You want to bring a head and two arms.
Okay, so this was just a taste on how to make a clay puppet. And you can have a look, a lot of tutorials on YouTube. This is one that I liked. And this man actually gives tutorials on how to make animation. And I find it very clear and easy to follow. And it could be very useful for your classroom activities. Desk scenography. So let's have a look at the story that comes with the story lane set from Celtic Publishing. We got the small version that the students have with the writings, which is the one you can see in the slide. And then there's also the big version for the teacher. So you can hold it and show different features to your kids, and you can ask them what's going on, etc., etc. So I've chosen this one because I think TPR is very useful for propositions as well, for revising and directions, actions, nouns. In this case, prepositions, so on, under, next to, etc., etc. What can we do? We can divide the class in 4 areas, 4 corners. Let's say you have 20 students in your classroom. Let's say that 5 children are in the donkey corner, so they are donkeys. Then we got other 5 students in the dogs corner. They are dogs. And then we got the corner of the roosters or cockerels and the corner of the cats. And while you read the story, the children have to act out the story, and they can use the desk. So for example, here, the story says the dog is on the chair, sleeping. So they can crawl into their own chairs and pretend sleeping. Oh, the donkey's under the table. So we got the donkey corner, and they all go under their desks and they pretend sleeping. And then we got the cockerel, rooster, sleeping next to the fireplace. And so again, the desk can be the fireplace, and they have to move next to it. So these are some ideas in which you can use desk as scenography, and you can include your the material from Story Lane if you're using that this textbook or other stories you have, etc., etc. Or they can pretend eating. They can have different objects, or they can draw a picture of cheese, draw a picture of biscuits, and you can say the cockerel is eating an apple, and all the cockerels have to pick up a little picture of apples and pretend eating. You can make it fun. Let's move on. Again, from Story Lane 2, in the teacher's guide, you find this, which is a photocopiable activity, printable activity. Sometimes I mix up Italian and English. And this is also useful to teach your children the meaning of folding, cutting, middle line, because they need to cut along the dotted line, and then they need to fold along the continuous line, fold along the middle line, and then fold again and again and again, and they have their mini book, okay, and they can open it and tell the story because it's got the pictures of the story that you can find in the textbook, and they can practice using the language they've just learned. So don't forget that doing this kind of crafts activity is not so much about the craft itself, it's about the language that the children are learning. So here we said they're learning how to say folding, cutting, scissors. We might ask, oh, teacher, I don't have scissors. Can I borrow your scissors? Etc. We said that TPR is very useful for learning or revising prepositions, actions, nouns. Let's say that you want to revise the meaning of hold. Okay, so you can ask your children to hold up their hands, hold up their scissors, hold their own hands. And in this way, the focus is on the verb. Or you can teach them a new noun by associating a noun they already know with a new one. So let's say that your children know the meaning of apple, but they don't know the meaning of bowl. But they can associate that very easily. So if you ask Maria, get the apple and put it in the bowl, she'll probably intuitively put the apple in the bowl and learn the meaning of bowl. The other activity that I have is the mystery box. So here it is, just simply a shoebox, and you can fill it up with lots of interesting things that you can find at the end of your desk drawer. I'm sure you got many bits and bobs, and you put them in your box, and you ask children to sort out certain objects. I know now you cannot share objects, so you can ask each child to create their own mystery boxes. So they get a shoebox, they collect things, they put it in the box, they don't tell anybody what they put in, they keep it as a secret, and then you can ask the children to take out something from the box that they can find in the kitchen. I got a spoon. Maybe another child's got a fork. They might know the noun for it, or they might not. So this is a way to revise things or to teach new vocabulary. You can ask them to show you something red, and they take out something red from the box. Or to line up 3 things of the same color. So here I got 3 green objects, a leaf, a felt pen, and an acorn. Okay, so sorting out things, it's a lot of fun. Maybe the downside on this is that children are very curious and they probably want to go and have a peek into the other children's boxes, but I'm sure you'll manage to avoid this. Another, actually no, I'm gonna show you this later because it belongs to drama as well. We have, the activities I'm showing you fall into different categories. Sometimes you can use them for TPR, but they're also about crafts, they're also about storytelling. So you can use all of these activities to work on different areas. Let's move on to collaborative work. Do you use collaborative work in your classroom? Your students, I don't know, work in pairs or groups? Yes? Oh, cool, cool, cool. I think this is very important. Let's have a look at what kind of collaborative work there is. These are just some ideas, okay? And if you have more, please write them in the chat and we'll share them among each other. Okay, so pair and group work. And you can use this for doing or checking exercises. Mingling, meaning standing up and going to talk to different people in the classroom. Children love to go around. It's a bit of a pity, this situation, but maybe one day when you go outside the classroom and they're wearing their masks, they can still move around and do something similar. Or when the situation will change, you'll be able to do it again. Role play, creating a play or a presentation, a survey, so asking things to each other, asking things to other teachers, asking things to their parents, their friends, making a poster, so again, making a presentation of a poster. So why is collaborative work good? Any ideas? Okay. Yes, so here are some ideas. One is because there's more learners' speech. So we want our kids to talk and talk and talk and practice lots of English. And in a normal teacher-centered class or lesson, the teacher speaks for 80% of the time. In this way, when we have collaborative work, the learners speak for most of the time. Anxiety is reduced because they don't have the pressure of coming up with a solution just on their own, but the responsibility is divided among the different people in the group or among the 2 people working together if they're working in pairs. There's a variety of speech acts. What does it mean? Usually, very often the teacher asks something and the child answers back. In this way, children can use have a lapsus, negotiation speech. They might not understand something and they have to ask to repeat something. excuse me, can you repeat, please? Or how do you say gatto in English? So these are very important aspects of a language. And also if your children are doing some exams for example, for some certificates, these are some aspects of a language they need to know. They need to say, excuse me, can you repeat, please? Or how do you say that word in English? Enjoyment increases. We are social animals and we like to do things together. We like to learn about each other. And so this makes it much more fun, much more enjoyable, and also probably will give them more satisfaction. And independence increases. Is always very important when you give a task to your children to give them a time limit. So they have a certain amount of time and they have to do that task in that amount of time. This develops independence. How can we collaborate at a distance with space? Well, you've divided your class in little areas. They're still at a distance. They can still talk and hear each other. And you can assign roles to each of the people in the group. We can have a timekeeper. We have 5 minutes. We have 2 minutes. Stop. We can have a secretary. So the student that writes down the ideas that the group is having, or is writing down the solutions of an exercise they're doing together. We can have a moderator, the person who says, you speak first, you speak after, put your hand up to talk. We can have a mistake detector, somebody that writes down all the language mistakes he or she can hear, and after share them with the group and they can correct those mistakes. We can have the doer and the instructor. So again, this is TPR. So the instructor saying to the doer what he or she has to do. So again, we divided the class in areas, in teams. They can choose the name of their team and they can play games. For example, charades. This is a great game. A kid goes, stands up in front of the other children, mimes an action, an animal, a character, and the other children must guess, and they get points when they guess. Or bingo, that's another fun game to do in a classroom. They can tell a collective story. You can do it as a whole class, or they can do it in groups. You can start with your Bremen Town musician story. Don't tell them the end, and they have to come up with their own end. This is a way of telling a collective story. You can give them elements, and they, for example, Mrs. Scissors and Mr. Felt Pen, they are in a farm. And they have these 3 elements and they have to make up a story and then tell it in English, of course. Describe something to each other, and we'll see more about this. Brainstorm. So brainstorm is very important, I think. It's coming up with ideas, it's finding solutions. There are many different ways of brainstorming, and one is called the thinking hats. We'll have a look at that one too. Role play being surgeons. You will understand this one better a bit later. Okay, so again, we have the Bremen Town musician's story. It starts in a farm we can ask our children to visualize their own farm. Okay, so visualization, this is very nice. It gives a moment of calmness in the classroom, much needed for the children and for the teacher. So maybe you can switch off the light. You can ask your children to close their eyes. You can put some relaxing music, and you can ask them to imagine their farm. And what animals are on the farm? Where is this farm? Is it in the forest? Is it in the mountains? Is it by a lake? How is the barn where the animals live? Is it made of wood? Is it made of biscuits? Is it hot, cold, sunny, cloudy? And then what are we going to do with these images in their mind? We're going to draw them. So then you have a moment where they draw the picture, and once they got their pictures, you can do different things with them. You can hang them on the walls of your classroom. You can ask the students to wear their masks, going around the classroom and write and guess who made the picture. So they can write down a name under the picture. Maybe they think this picture was made by Francesca, and they write down Francesca. And then you can discuss about why they thought this picture was drawn by Francesca or by Luca, etc., etc. They can vote for the most creative picture. In groups, they can discuss why they think that picture is more creative than the other picture. Okay, more, less, we use the comparative. Okay, you have to adjust these activities to the age of the children, of course. Another thing they can do is in pairs to describe the picture to each other. So this is my farm. On my farm, there is a unicorn and a purple milk cow. And my milk cow makes chocolate, not milk. There is a chicken trying to eat a worm. My farm is in the jungle. It's very hot there. Okay, so you can use this activity. I did it in a classroom and I asked them to draw their future home, and the girl came up with an ice cream house. It was really, really nice. And after that, everybody wanted to live in an ice cream house. So this can happen. Okay, the sixth thinking hat. This activity is by Edward de Bono. He came up with this idea of the thinking hats of assigning roles to different people, working together and having to come up with a solution to a problem or with ideas. It might be a bit tricky this at the beginning. Maybe you want to explain it in Italian and then adjust it for your English lessons and use it in your English lessons. So let's have a look at it. The idea is that each person, child in a group made of 5, 6 people are wearing a colored hat. It doesn't have to be a hat, but it can be fun to make a hat. So maybe that's another craft activity to do. They can just maybe wear something blue, like this scarf, or hold something red in their hands. And let's say that I've got the red piece of paper. So I'm the person that is going to have ideas related to feelings, emotions. So let's say we have to vote for the most creative picture. And I got the feeling card, and I say, well, I think Luca's picture is the most creative because I have never seen a unicorn in a farm before. And it makes me feel happy. So you don't have to explain so much rationally why, but you have to talk about your intuition, your feelings, your emotions. Then the white hat is for facts, for data. And I might be holding something white. Here I got some my white piece of paper. And I say, yes, I agree with you. Luca's picture is very creative because unicorns don't exist. So he's imagined the unicorn. Control. Control is the hat of a person thinking, organizing how to find the solution, how to discuss. For example, you can say the person who's got the control hat decides who's going to talk first. And then what they're going to do next is to write down a solution or have a presentation, etc. Then you got the yellow hat is all the benefits, the positivity of a project, of an idea, the plus points. The negative, the black hat is about the negative points. Sorry, need to drink. It's looking at all the difficulties. And the green hat is about creativity. So the person who's maybe finding solutions to the negative points, to the difficulties. I suggest you maybe search on the internet more about the 6 thinking hats and about Edward de Bono, and start using it in the classroom. You can also just use them for creating characters, you know, the very emotional person character or the very creative person character, etc., etc. Okay, again, in Story Lane, we got another book, the big book of Frankenstein. So let's think about the situation now. We are all wearing masks. We had to wear gloves. We have to wash our hands very often. These are all things that we thought only doctors and surgeons would do, and now we are all doing them. Instead of canceling this and try not to think about it, let's bring it in. And let's use drama, role-playing for our own advantages. And let's also use, for example, this Frankenstein book. Our classroom is a laboratory. In our classroom, we have dissecting tables, we have potions, we have to dress up with masks and gloves. We have to use special tools like tweezers and clumps. Okay, we can use this to do something at a distance. One exercise that you can use when you are working on a text is to have the text printed out on your paper, and then you cut it. And the students must put the text back together. So of course, it's about comprehension, it's about reading, It's about understanding what sentence comes after the period. And maybe they can do it in a fun way. They can use their tongues, and they have to take up pieces of paper, put them on their desk. So again, we're not touching with hands, which can be dirty, and we're using tongues, or we can use anything else, or sometimes scissors that don't work can be used to move things around. So let's try to be creative and transform our classroom into the setting, and use that for any kind of exercise we want to do with our kids. Let's move on. Songs, probably the most challenging part of this presentation, because we have to wear a mask. I heard you cannot sing in classrooms. So usually what do we do with songs? Usually we sing with songs. Usually we can work with the kids and set up a choir. We can have gap text, so they listen to the song. They have to write the missing words. They can write their own song, or they can rewrite a famous song. Okay, there are lots of fun songs created on the base of original songs. We can move and dance to songs. We can read a song. We can recite it. We can sing it, of course, but we can just read it. We can do this activity called call and response, which works like this. It's about repetition. This is the famous one. When I say yes, you say yes. Sorry, confusing. When I say go, you say go. When I say stop, you say stop. In this way, you can ask the students to repeat what you're saying. You can also use gibberish. And the children have to say it's silly, it's fun, and it starts moving the muscles of your mouth and your tongue. Again, you can illustrate a song. You can make a picture based on the words of a song. Why using them? They help us with repetition and fluency. And remember, repetition is the base for learning a language. My son is bilingual. He speaks English and Italian. And at the beginning, he was like a parrot, repeating every single thing, every single word I said. And it worked. Songs are fun. Songs are bonding. They help friendship. Songs teach new vocabulary in a context. So they're not just words flying around, but it gives a structure, a context. They can help us teach grammar and cultural aspects. They help us with assonance, rhymes. English rhymes are different from Italian rhymes. You can have two words that look very differently when written, but they sound similar. Let's think about head, said. They're written in a completely different way, but they sound the same. So songs, a challenge is an opportunity. We said we can move according to the words we hear in songs. We can have songs about body parts, and the children can touch the different body parts. One famous one is head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. But let's go further with that. Okay, if you have a chance, maybe go out. Go out, have you got a garden? Can you do it? Go out and sing. You can hum the song. You might think, what use is that? Well, they'll still have to think about the words in their own mind. So maybe they listen to the song, they read the song, and then they can hum it. And they're still working on musicality, which is an important aspect of any language. They can rap it. Is rap singing? Is rap talking? I don't know where the limit is. Where's the limit? They can recite it, make it into a poem, a dialogue. They can do TPR with it, so they can move to it. A tip, whenever you work on a dialogue, don't have your kid reading just the dialogue. Why that? Because the tendency is for children, or for anybody learning a language and reading a sentence from a dialogue, is to speak like a robot. Hello, Lucy, how are you? They speak like a robot. So the idea is they have to read it in their mind twice. They have to cover it and then say it. Hello, Lucy, how are you? Okay, this is a little tip. So read twice, cover, and say. You can use sign language, or you can invent a code. So this is Mr. Tumble. He's British. He's got a program on CBBS, which is a children's channel, a British channel, and he uses British Sign Language, BSL, which is different from American, well, the sign language from USA, and it's different from the sign language used in Italy, from lingua italiana dei segni. Let's have a look on how to use Mr. Tumble's ideas. You can find lots of YouTube videos of Mr. Tumble, and you can, I'm gonna show.
Transformation. Transformation.
Sorry. Okay, so here we got Mr. Tumble teaching names of animals. Let's have a look.
Look, cow. You sign cow. Aha. Look, cow. Ah, look, sheep. You sign sheep.
Okay, so how can we use this in our classroom? We can learn the animal signs and teach them to our children. We can show a clip on the limb, and then we can sing a song with them. For example,
Mr. Tumble's nursery rhymes. Woohoo! It's Old MacDonald had a farm. Sing along. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had a cow. E-I-E-I-O. With a moo-moo here, a moo-moo there. Here a moo, there a moo, everywhere a moo-moo. Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. Ha-ha! I wonder what he...
all right. So I think this would be very nice, for example, to have a silent choir and then just using actions and movements. This can teach our children about differences, it can be inclusive of children with disabilities. Up to you what you'll do with it. So actually, maybe let us know if you're gonna use sign language in your classroom and how it worked out. So let's go to drama. So role play is part of drama. Storytelling, you telling a story, the kids telling a story to each other, it's part of drama. Developing a character, developing physicality, making a film, which can be a film with real people, with animation. It's using props, creating props. Charades, miming something, it's part of drama. Using voice. Making costumes, coming to school with costumes. Making puppets, using puppets. Drama is about theater. How does it help learning a language? Well, it builds confidence. Think about the fact that you give a role, a character to a child. He or she has to learn and memorize the line. They can repeat it many times, and so when they feel confident, they can say it. It helps with cooperation, working together. We said working together is very important. It's fun. It develops emotional intelligence, meaning that they can express different feelings without relating them directly to their own experience, but taking on the character experience. So let's say they can understand what is to be afraid by being Frankenstein's creator and being afraid of Frankenstein. They can understand what it means to be sad by being Frankenstein and having to go away and having nobody else to share a life with. It gives a context. We said we can use the classroom, set it up as the Frankenstein laboratory, set it up as a farm, and work around that theme. You can do this, also for Halloween or other kind of celebrations. Set it up as for Christmas, set it up as your Father Christmas laboratory, craft shop. It works on fluency. It helps concentration and active listening. This is very important. It's not just about speaking, it's about hearing, listening, knowing when to speak. It gives a memorable experience. This has to do with durable learning. It has been studied, but when you enjoy something, when there's a strong emotional impact with something, you remember it for longer. Drama. Limitations are fuel for imaginations. We have to keep at a distance. Let's find a play which is about distance. Romeo and Juliet. Probably you know many more plays than I do, so come up with ideas. You can send letters, emails, voicemails. Okay, you can ask them to collaborate at a distance. You can tell each other to send voicemails, voice messages, to leave voice messages to each other, send text messages. Let's use technology in this way as well. Okay, drama is about projecting the voice. We are distant, we cannot be close, so let's use it to project the voice or to work on whispering and using that language we said is very important, the mediation language. Sorry, can you speak louder? I cannot hear. Or you're speaking too loud. Lower your voice. Okay, so we can work on the idea of distance and voice and level of the voice. We can use visualization. We used it before with the farm animals. We can use it to create, to come up with ideas or imagine objects, props for our show. Let's be creative with using distance. So here we've got a child with a very funky hat, or we can use tape, and we have to keep it straight, and we have to keep a distance like this. We can make a film if we cannot have a play with people watching us, because we cannot be too many people in the same place. Then we can make a film of our story by using our own bodies, puppets, drawings. And here I'd like to give you an example of some children that have worked on the 3 Little Piggies using shadow puppets, and they made it into a film. Also, this is a good tip. If you want to do animation, stop motion animation, you don't need a camera, you don't need special tools or special effects. You just need your mobile phone, and you can download an app called Stop Motion Studio, and you can make an animated film. Let's just watch a quick clip of the 3 Little Piggies. There it goes. Is it going?
Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs, and the time came for them to leave home and seek for their fortunes. Before they left, their mother told them, "Whatever you do, do it the best that you can, because that's the way to get along in the world."
Okay, so let's just get back to our presentation. So shadow puppets, very easy to make. You need a rod, you need to draw a picture, cut it out, put a piece of paper, a light, and you got your shadow puppet. So I hope you got some interesting ideas from this webinar, this first Celtic webinar of the season. And please follow us, and there's going to be another webinar on the 21st of October, which is about autumn, by Louis Baxter. And here you got all the Facebook addresses, emails. If you tried out some of these ideas, if you have tips, suggestions, use the Facebook page, write at formazione@celticpublishing.com. I'd be very curious to read how this worked out. Best of luck. I know you're having a hard time. Resist, keep it fun, because this is, I think, the best way we can teach our children. And collaborate. Let's not be distant, okay? So, thank you. Bye-bye. And bye from all the team of Celtic.